think the most important lesson that I ever got was someone said, you know, what might be an urgent and very, very important task to you is probably not an urgent and very important task to anyone else. So, you know, when you think you're under lots of stress because things are coming up and you have to finish things and there's people trying to get things from you, you know, just remember that what might be really important now is actually not going to be very important tomorrow or next week. And for me, what I try and do, like more theoretically, is always look at the bigger picture and thinking, does this really contribute? What I do now, will that actually help a couple of days, a couple of weeks, a couple months from now? But I do understand there's going to be times where even when you think about that, there's so much to do. And one thing that just really helps for me is still take a little time to just do the more calming things, like read a book, or, you know, just grab a cup of tea and, you know, just kind of unsettle for 10-15 minutes, because even though you might have so much to do, just that little bit of time you invest in yourself again, you know, the returns can be so much greater than trying to keep pushing another hour, another 2 hours. So again, you know, similarly, I'd say kind of invest in yourself. It's all going to be okay in the end, you know, but just take that time apart. I think that has helped me so enormously much.
Working with stress, make sure you improve your time management skills. Personally, I plan out my agenda by the hour, but I always make sure that there is at least 1 or 2 hours a day where I have some me time or do something that I like. It can even be cooking a nice dinner for myself or reading a book. But just making sure that you, besides all the stress going on and your full agenda, that you make sure that you still have something fun to do during the day. That's just for you. And besides that, always make sure you get 7 hours of sleep at least.
I like to work in the mornings, so I reserve those for work that requires also you to be fresh. So I like to use the mornings for that. And on the midterm kind of time management, I think it's really important to identify the things that are contingent on other things, so you can plan well for those.
I actually completed my 3rd year of my bachelor in economics whilst doing EC Students on the side, being president of EC Students, which is a part-time board, but as you can probably imagine, most of the time is more full-time than part-time. I think the best thing to do to manage your time is to set a task list, a to-do list, and to make sure that you know what you expect out of yourself during any given day, and you work towards actually completing the activities that you set for yourself. So for example, I would say in one day, I want to make sure I study chapters 1 to 5, as well as answer emails and write up this proposal. And then I would plan my day according to that and just see how far I could get. And keeping track of all those different tasks and seeing how they build throughout the weeks as well. I also think when it comes to managing your time, it is really good to have an agenda. So I use Google Calendar like crazy this year, and I also used it with my board. So whenever we had a meeting, you could just invite people to it, show the time, the place, the agenda as well. And that is very, very useful in allocating your time. But another really important thing is that don't forget to plan in some time for yourself. I know it sounds silly to say plan in some time for yourself, but you have to. And this is really one of the most important things, because if you don't take that time for yourself, you won't be able to give everything else that you have to do during your day your utmost attention. So taking the time aside to read a book, watch some Netflix, go for a walk, be outside, meet up with friends, it's very, very, very important. Otherwise, I actually found this year that by actually having more on my to-do list and more things to do throughout the day made me so much more productive. By saying that, I mean, you know, waking up early, going to bed a bit later. You really know how to make use of your time. Even if it's just an hour or half an hour, you know what you have to do in that time, and you will get it done a lot quicker than if you had a whole day to do it. So I would actually challenge you to plan as many things as you can into one day, and you'll probably notice that you'll get a lot more done than when you have very few things.
I think that for managing the stress and the pressure, especially in times that are as difficult as now, there are so many things that can happen on a personal level or on a health level, is that you understand that you're not alone. Don't try to carry all the burden on your back, because leading a team, like, regardless of the size, it is pressure. But then again, you have to work on your time management, and the people that you have around you, they probably would like to help carrying that burden. So make sure that if you have a problem, communicate it. Communication is crucial. If you feel pressured, if you feel overwhelmed at the moment, communicate with your team. Like, you're not a one-man army or a one-woman army. You're part of the team, so delegate responsibilities. Make sure that if you have a problem, communicate to them, because if you as a leader show that when you have a problem you communicate it to the team, that's the best example that you can give to the team. You have to lead, and it's a question of leading by example. So if you're feeling under pressure, it's not showing to your team that they're going to consider you weaker. No, they're going to consider you stronger, because they know that you trust them on a sense to talk about it. For example, think about your friendships. Which ones are your best friendships? The one that you just grab a drink and make jokes, or the ones that you talk about your problems, about your insecurities? Then you have your answer.